Hi, good evening. I'm here doing my coaching session number one with Mr. Michael Guerra. He is currently a seventh grade math teacher at Sprague Middle School. This is his sixth year teaching, and I put in my description that he has been recognized in the school for his very hard work, and he's considered one of the veterans at this point. Just to start our session, I'm gonna go ahead and screen share
Hmm.
my screen, and I'm gonna be asking you some questions regarding that survey that we did that I sent you earlier the week.
Okay.
Right here. Can you see my screen okay?
Not yet. Let me see.
Is it there?
Mhm. No, not yet.
Okay, let me try again. What about now?
I still see you
Okay.
checking mine. Let me see. Mm,
Well, either way, even if you can see my screen, I can type either way. Um,
Okay.
I'm gonna try one more time, and if it doesn't work, we're just gonna go out and go based on that. I don't want to
Okay.
take too much time on that. But on my end, I am seeing my screen. Maybe it's because is it a certain thing that I gotta click? Um,
Not that I know of. That's weird that it's not showing.
okay, I'm gonna try one more time. Here we go. Okay, hold on.
I know when I used to do it, it would have some trouble sometimes sharing. Um, for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure why, but sometimes it would have some trouble sharing.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm having issues with that. I'm just gonna go ahead and I can see my screen. As long as you can see me and you can hear me, I think we should be okay.
Okay.
Is that good? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I can still see myself here. So, in this form that I have, first thing that I kind of described was one of the struggles that you were having in the classroom with technology, which was differentiation, kind of
Mhm.
using a real-time data to further support students with their growth in math. I kind of even got quote unquote a quote that you mentioned on the survey. Um, what technology is, how can we use technology to be more than one size fits all approach?
Mhm.
Since, um, and I also elaborated on that sense as far as like when does it become more than just math assignments on the computer? And I
Correct.
think the goal is to have differentiation lessons, sorry, with technology to help kids grow ultimately in math and not just do assignments or tests on the computer when it comes
Mhm.
to doing their math work. So, here's some things that I really want to ask you regarding that, and you can tell me based of your knowledge, what for these questions.
Okay.
So, first things first, what have you already tried to fix this challenge in your classroom? How can you make it more than that one size fits all approach? What have you tried as of now?
So I know, like with my in-class support classes, because we do the para model at our campus. So I know with that approach that our para will pull certain kids out and kind of be in the hallway or maybe small group inside the room, and she's going through this other system that we have. It's called IXL. To help, and that's a pretty good system. It helps kind of test where the kids are with like a pre-assessment, and then meet them where they're at to grow them with so seventh grade to grow them to the seventh grade and then beyond. Um, but other than that I mean, it's kind of hard right now. We're doing with just so much. We have to kind of do the let's just do this one assignment online. Let's take, all of our tests are online. As far as the technology piece, the other thing I could say we tried is it's called Fluid Math. It's basically like you can put your PowerPoints through Fluid Math, and then each student gets basically their own document and they can write on it and take notes. But we used it a lot when we were teaching equations and inequalities because we could have them use and model these equations and inequalities with algebra tiles. And we saw that the past 2 years that we've used it, that they had a better understanding when they got to a question where here's this model, what does it actually mean and how can we solve it from there? Maybe not necessarily using the algebra tiles, but what does this model show me and how can I solve it? Um, so other than that, I would say those are the two main things, like our in-class support para or teacher. She will pull small group and do like an IXL, but that's not an everyday thing. And then that fluid math, and again, that was mainly in our equations and inequalities unit.
Okay, so just to recap, make sure I got everything. So one of the main
Mhm.
things that you guys do is just kind of just pull small group with a paraprofessional. Maybe it could be outside, it could be in the classroom, just kind of utilizing IXL to grow in math and kind of assigning those things in IXL based on the students' data and test scores and stuff like that, correct?
Hmm.
And then the second thing that you mentioned was the fluid math, where you actually do put the PowerPoint on there and it models algebra problems, equations, and instead of actually using manipulatives, you guys use like those tiles in the actual digital form.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay,
That's
so
exactly right.
that's okay, good. So that's one that's two ways that you have tried to
Hmm.
kind of change that up. And as far as that goes, what would you think is something that has worked um, overall in the classroom when it comes to modifying this challenge or trying to make it work for you? What's one thing that has worked?
I would say the fluid math algebra tiles, like I said, it really helped them gain that understanding without having so much stuff going on their desk. They have their paper for the notes, then they either have to draw out all the tiles or they have to, use the actual hand manipulatives. I think it gave them a better understanding because everything was kind of right there on their screen. They were able to do it right there. It gave them, like I said, just a better understanding of what this model looks like and how can I take this model and write out the equation so then I can solve it. So I think that's been the most helpful.
So like even like a clutter-free area, accessible,
Exactly.
so where they can actually kind of like move things around in their computer and see what's working, what's not working, and kind of tie it back to algebra, you know?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there another thing that you think has worked in the classroom, trying to differentiate in with technology?
Um, I would say really that's going to be the main thing that's worked for us. I mean the IXL, I can see the data. Am I getting as much data as I want? No, just because we can't do it all the time. Just because the assignments, how it is, just one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. So we don't necessarily get to use it all the time. Like if we were to use IXL every day, I think that would be great data, and I would be able to help my kids a little bit more with the differentiation part. Um, but I just don't think we're using it enough. But I think for the most part, it's going to be that fluid math manipulatives.
Okay, okay, so just to recap, you mentioned
Hmm.
what worked was the fluid math. Like I said, like a clutter-free area, accessible area where they can actually just test it on the computer. And then the IXL, it provides data, but it's not a daily thing. It's more so a practice thing. If
Correct.
you say,
Correct.
okay, um, okay, we can move on to the next part, which is what didn't work. So I know that sometimes as teachers we want to try new things, but sometimes things don't work. And what's one thing that you generally did not work in the classroom when it comes to this?
I wouldn't say this is necessarily math related, but it is classroom related. So we use the PBIS reward system, and we have as a package with it, we get the hall pass monitor. And so when a student has to step out to go to the restroom or go to the nurse or whatever they need to step out for, they can do it on their computer. It'll keep track of their time and stuff like that. I think at least for me, it hasn't worked. Just one, I'm still new to it. I haven't really learned the ins and the outs of it myself. So to me, it hasn't worked. I'm not saying the system doesn't work, but at least for me in my classroom, it doesn't work yet. I would say just the students, they'll forget they have to do it online and they just walk out because that's kind of the way it goes when they're supposed to do it online. Some students still don't know how to do it online. So I just believe that it was too quick of a rollout to get it to work properly for all of us.
Right. I myself do use PBIS points, and I even forget myself to give out points for
Oh yeah.
good behavior, or eliminate whatever the case may be. Um, I know that I myself tested this out with the restroom thing where we had to do restroom passes and kind of monitor how long they're out in the classroom. And then it was a start time and an end time.
Yep.
That became a little bit tedious on my end as well. So I could kind of understand where you're coming from, where
Hmm.
it becomes it is a good system, but when you're trying to teach and like start and stop and monitor, it kind of goes all over the place. And like you mentioned, some kids don't even know how to use it. They never heard of it. They don't know where to go.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of back and forth with the PBIS reward system. And if it's not used with fidelity, it really just is forgotten.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so I can understand that 100%. Is there another thing that you think that probably didn't work as far as like um just kind of inc including technology on your everyday lessons?
Um, so I would say a few years ago we started to use Desmos math. It's now called Amplify. Um, I would say a lot of those pre-made lessons that, we were kind of encouraged to use but not forced, um, they were not the best. The kids would get on it. The kids were able to navigate through it, and it was pretty helpful to see like where each student is at. Did they get the question right? Did they get it wrong? And it was more than just an assignment because it kind of helped gauge their knowledge. But it just wasn't the most user friendly on the teacher side to kind of break down the information like we were supposed to be, um, to break down the information to get the data to make our data informed decisions. It was a little too difficult to, try to get down to one specific kid, even to break it down by class period. It was just not the best. It just was not the best. I would say the kids some of the kids just would go through and answer stuff and then be done with it and didn't even care. And other kids, I mean, they did good, but I don't think it was the best use of our time. I don't think it was the best form of technology we could have used. It also just wasn't user friendly, at least on the teacher side of it. It just wasn't the easiest to get the data from.
Yeah, so also use this. I seen not use it, but I've seen it work with the algebra. Um,
Hmm.
it was, in my opinion, it was very boring. It was just black and white, and it was a lot of like, you need to log into Desmo. You need to do this. You need to go here. You got to go
Hmm.
find this. And I
Yep.
also noticed that it was actually observed in a ninth grade classroom where um, it was just very one note. It really didn't have a lot of differentiation. It was just do this and do this and do that. It was
Hmm.
great for the
Hmm.
graphing part, the just to see
Oh
those
yeah.
things, but it wasn't really much to it.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else you would like to add as far as what we just discussed? Because I just to mention, well, just to recap again, what stuff didn't work was the PBIS points and also the decimal math that we just
Hmm.
discussed, that
Hmm.
it wasn't enough. It was just an assignment, and it wasn't really showing kids how to, you know, w use math efficiently, I guess you could say. It was just do this
Yeah.
math problem and go on about your day.
Yes.
So,
That's definitely how some of the kids took it. Just do it, get it over with, and we're done with it. We don't have to worry about it
right.
anymore.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I could definitely see that. I kind of relate to you in a lot of these things that you mentioned because I myself, when I was teaching math, I use iExcel. Fluid
Hmm.
Math is a new one for me. I use iExcel, and then I seen Decimal and the PBIS reward system. I kind of understand where you're coming from, where yes, these are good tools that they can help us with, with a lot
Hmm.
of our classroom management, the actual math, but it gets lost somewhere because
Hmm.
it just becomes like I mentioned earlier in the beginning, it just becomes math in the computer. It just
Yeah.
becomes assignments in the computer rather than
Yep.
actual things that's going to help our students grow and be proficient in math or get them at another performance level.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I I think that's it actually. I got all everything. I
Okay.
fix it up. I just kind of roughly typed it, but I'm gonna fix it up, add more detail to it. There's nothing else you would like to add as far as what we discussed today?
Just one other thing to add to like the good side that kind of does help uh gather data and different like help us make the differentiation, maybe not the technology itself, but Schoology. Schoology does help me differentiate. Yes, a lot of it is us putting in the assignment or us doing this, yes, but it does allow me to gather the data a lot easier and a lot quicker. With those, just yes, let's go do an assignment. But with those assignments, I'm able to break it down. My kids, the majority, placed up here. It'll build me a box plot. It'll build, all the different types of data that I want. I'm easily able to pull it from Schoology. So I think that's one thing I didn't mention earlier, but I would like to add to the
For sure.
good side of it because it does help us have to get to the differentiation part and make those choices. But I wouldn't say it does it itself.
Yeah, so Schoology, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like a section where you can actually break down the data, correct?
Yeah.
So, and break down by student, by classes, whatever you want to break it
Yep.
down to, and it kind
Yep.
of helps you kind of narrow it down what teak um that you need
Hmm.
to really reteach or what teak you can move on from because okay, they got this part.
Yes.
Yeah, I Schoology is another good one, and I agree. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that. Schoology provides more like it's like a data tracker.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Because once they, yes, it is those go sit and do assignments, but once they do those, it is so easy to see this is where they performed well on. On this question, they only got 10% of the kids got it right. Maybe we need to go back and look at that question, some stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I think that we got it all. For our co first coaching session, I just kind of want to gather what you have tried, what has worked with you.
Hmm.
And I chose you because you are a seasoned teacher, and I feel like you have kind of seen it all at this point. And
Hmm.
you went from kind of starting in a traditional way to kind of transitioning to this more digital time of
Hmm.
teaching, and you can actually see the ups and downs of this whole thing instead of
Yes.
just kind of jumping in into digital education like we are now, you know.
Yep.
So so that's it for me as far as this goes. I got my information. Like I said, I'm gonna fix it up, make it more detailed. If there's nothing else to add, are we good?
We're good on my end.
So in my next section, I'll reach out and figure out what we got to do for our next steps.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording now.